live from an Airstream somewhere in Tornado Alley, bringing you the people, places, and stories from the Panhandle to the Red River. This is your Only in Oklahoma show.
Today we have an interview with a Grammy-nominated platinum-selling artist, and after the break, a ribbon cutting in OKC for an emperor. I'm Brett.
And I am Harley.
Never in my wildest dreams, ever, would I envision intentionally putting mustard on a breakfast burrito. I've been eating breakfast burritos, since I realized that before I knew it was a breakfast burrito and not just we didn't have any bread.
You know, you did those videos.
Yeah.
They were fun. I thought they were funny.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people out there making this bold claim that Brahms has always done mustard on their breakfast burritos. Now, as an avid consumer
You're a
of
consumer.
breakfast burritos, I've had 1,000 Brahms breakfast burritos. I've never, ever seen mustard on one of them.
Never. And then after finding out that it wasn't a mistake, a lot of people come into the defense of Brahms saying, yeah, it's a thing. I'm like, it's never really. When did it start being a thing?
Yeah, nobody announced this to me. It's an abomination.
Sonic has a ultimate burrito or a meat. I don't know if it's a 3-meat burrito, but it's basically what?
The ultimate breakfast burrito, and it's got bacon, sausage, hash browns, eggs, and cheese. No mustard.
No mustard.
It does come with a packet of picante sauce.
Are you adding mustard because you think that the 3-meat burrito is copyright? You know what I mean? It's like adding a thumb screw instead of a hex head, and all of a sudden it's a new design.
Here's the thing. Here's my personal opinion. Brahms has completely lost the plot.
Yeah.
They don't know what food is anymore. It used to come farm fresh right from their farm straight to my mouth. And now they've just got crazy people in the kitchen going mustard on everything.
Listen, I think someone has let the kids in the development room.
Well, more importantly, why are people on the internet trying to gaslight us? It's always been that way.
No.
Like, dude, it's like you coming out and saying that the Brahms banana split has always had motor oil on it.
No. What I don't understand about Brahms, you got away from Brahms makes everything better to Brahms makes everything more complicated and not user-friendly and makes me question my ability to order quality food at a reasonable price. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
So here's the thing. I would put mustard if I was poor. Let's say you're at home, you got just enough because they used the tortilla was dried out. So I grew up with some dry tortillas because you didn't get the good ones and they didn't have the zip thing so it dried out. So, and I've been in situations where I didn't have hot sauce, so I used ketchup. You basically made me an apocalypse broke till payday burrito.
Yeah,
shoot. We got mustard because mustard, two things will last the test of time because of the vinegar content. Mustard is,
it's shelf stable.
It won't go bad.
But it's one of those, dude, it's weird. It's like somebody said, hey, you want me to make breakfast burritos? And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And then they're like, hey, we don't have picante sauce. No.
What you got? Mustard? Okay.
We don't have sausage or bacon. Bologna?
Why don't you just call it the beggars can't be choosers burrito?
Yeah.
Again, the sheer amount of people that are that are telling us we don't know food. You're going to tell us?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But I'm going to say, there's no way this has always been a thing.
It's toxic mustard linity.
Yes, it is. But we do have an interview. We need to get to our interview.
We do have an interview.
So let's roll into that now.
Well, coming up August 16th, the Scissortail Park Concert Series has another great free show coming up featuring Five for Fighting and Vertical Horizon. Joining us today is Grammy-nominated songwriter and vocalist of Five for Fighting, John Ondrasik. John, welcome to the show.
Nice to be with you.
Goodness gracious. So, free show at Scissortail Park coming up August 16th. You know, we just announced today, Oklahoma City did, they unveiled what our big arena is going to be. We have like a $900 million, let's round it to $1 billion, arena coming up in the next year and a half or so, which free shows. I don't know if you've bought any concert tickets recently, John. It's astronomical. So a free show in the park in the middle of August, I'm sold.
Well, we're coming to celebrate the Thunder Championship, my friend. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to come where the celebration is. So we're very thrilled to be coming. And boy, it's probably been 15 years or so since I played Oklahoma City, and bringing Vertical Horizon, of course. And so we'll go back to the future a little bit and have a lot of fun.
You know, I was looking at, 20 years ago. It doesn't feel like, well, Superman was it was 2004, right?
No, Superman was 2000.
2000,
yeah,
God!
Yeah.
25.
25. Yeah, I know. It's
Louise.
just insane.
You know, we talk about it all the time, and I'll not trying to. I feel like Chris Farley on the. You remember that one time, John? I'm trying not to be that guy, so I'm not going to hog up all the airtime. But 25 years ago, the world has changed so much. You know, COVID did a lot. My short-term memory shot, like anything past 2019, 2018 just feels like a blur.
Yeah, it's wild that the songs still find their way in the culture, and as a songwriter, I think it's nice to it's a dream to have hit songs, but it's certainly a blessing to have a few songs that stand the test of time. So again, I don't take that for granted, and Superman in some ways the song is relevant today as it was back then, when it was one of the songs that recognized our heroes of 9/11 and the concert for New York. So I'm glad the song, continues to kind of serve and shine the light where it belongs.
Why do you think that your songs have such staying power?
Well, I think, if you really look at kind of the messages of the songs that folks know, particularly the popular songs, it's things that we deal with every day. And frankly, 100 Years Superman, in a way, they're like Post-it notes to myself. Superman really is about our innate humanity, and that at the end of the day, we are human, and we can't be everything for everybody. And my Superman song is different than many of the other Superman songs. I didn't realize how many there were. Perhaps I would never have written it, but the first line of my Superman is "I can't stand to fly," and who wouldn't want to fly? But of course, I think the reason it has resonated with particularly adults, and frankly, I found out very early that the record company called me one day and said, "It's very strange. Men are buying your record." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Men don't buy their record. Men in their 30s and 40s and 50s." And I think it's kind of that kind of feeling that we as men feel that we have to be the rock for everybody, and everybody has to roll off our back. And I think, Superman really says, "Hey, look, we're human, and we do the best we can. And sometimes we got to take care of ourselves first so we can take care of everybody else." And I think similar with 100 Years, live in the moment, appreciate the moment. We hear that all the time. But I think, especially as you get older, you tend to appreciate those moments. And particularly, when you work with, soldiers and Gold Star families and people who go through real challenges and tragedies, that reminds you of the moment is not guaranteed, and we need to appreciate it and be grateful for what we have. So I think those themes are things that everybody can relate to, and perhaps that's one reason why they continue to kind of have an impact in the culture.
I was talking last week because I've been kind of emotionally preparing myself, because 100 Years is a song. I have a growing list of songs that as I get older, I'm 48 now. When I heard the song then, it was a beautiful song. It's a great song, but I've started more over in the last decade, more actively listening to songs, kind of going on my own journey. I listen to all kinds of music, but there's something about 100 Years that the older I get, the more deep that song, and how deep it just resonates with me. Do you get a lot of feedback from people? I mean, obviously it's another one of those songs that's been around for, over 2 decades. Do you get a lot of feedback from people in regards to that song in particular? What's kind of been your experience with that?
I think in some ways, 100 Years has been kind of more impactful than Superman. It's still being played at graduations and weddings and funerals and home movies. And like you, I also have a different relationship with it, even though, I wrote it and I've played it 10,000 times. But, when I wrote 100 Years, I was kind of in the top of that second verse, 33, family on my mind. Everything's wide open, young, fire, on fire, and the world is our oyster. And now I'm in the bridge. I turned
Right.
60,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm in that bridge. But I'm also at that that lyric of suddenly you're wise. I'd like to think I'm a little wiser. It's in the bridge than I was in that second verse. But
Right.
that's the great thing about that song is that we're all in there somewhere, and it's fun. It's fun to see young people who maybe weren't even alive when I wrote it finding 100 Years and having it be meaningful to them. So, I'm a child of the 70s singer-songwriters, and I love the songs like Cats in a Cradle and songs that have a sentiment, have a meaning, have a story, have a beginning and an end. Again, that might be one reason why songs like 100 Years stick around. But yeah, we're all in there somewhere. And
I'm at the 45. Yeah, I'm in that 45.
You're in the midlife. You're the midlife.
Yeah,
crisis line.
exactly. Well, I decided at 43. So I have a 26-year-old, 2 grandkids. I'm 48 with a 3 and a 5-year-old. So yeah, John, I'm in that I'm between the 60, I'm in the bridge part that you're at, trying to get to that while still being in the 45, wishing I was at the 33. But
you're covering every verse and chorus and
yes,
the vamp.
absolutely. I'm telling you, it hits every chord. So you were talking about singer-songwriters that influenced you. If you had a Mount Rushmore of your biggest influences musically, who would that be?
Well, of course, as a piano player, my first concert was Billy Joel,
Oh,
Houses, 1980, Elton, of course. So, as a young piano player, you got to start with Elton and Billy, and certainly they were huge influences on me. But of course, as a singer, I actually found Steve Perry from Journey's voice teacher as a teenager and studied with him. But of course, you look at Freddie Mercury and Steve Perry. But again, I kind of go back to kind of those iconic writers. You look at the Beatles, you look at Joni Mitchell, James Taylor, the songs that we still hear today. If you want to go deeper, Leonard Cohen, the lyricists, and so I'm really kind of come from that era. And again, I think that's one reason why perhaps some of my songs have stuck around, because we still hear those songs every day, and there's a reason for that. Because they really kind of capture life in a unique way, but again, I've probably seen Billy and Elton 30 times in my life, and got to meet Billy Joel at the Concert for New York and say thank you to him. So that was a cool moment, and you know what, Bill's struggling a little bit, but I think he'll be back out there, and I love seeing all these artists in their 70s and 80s
still getting out there,
doing it.
For sure.
It makes us feel young and feel we got a lot to do in front of us.
I mean, Mick Jagger, 80 plus and still strutting like a, you know what I mean? Cock of the walk.
It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, man. It is so beautiful. I actually did a gig. I did a gig a few months ago with Alice Cooper.
Oh,
actually.
You're kidding.
And oh my God, it was an amazing gig. It was Alice Cooper, like some Steely Dan guys.
Wow.
It was really, for me, it was a treat. But that guy, he's close to 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He gets up at 6:30 every day, plays 18 holes of golf, does a full rock concert, sounds great, looks great, great guy, been married, his wife 30 some years, 40 years. And so you see, that's the nice thing about this day and age. You can do things a long time. And I think retirement for many of us is something that hopefully will never happen. And you see these guys living it and doing it, and it keeps them young and vital. And so that was a treat for me to see him. School's out for the summer, and boy, we were dancing along.
A few years ago, I saw Alice. I got lucky enough when I worked in radio, I got tickets to go see Alice Cooper, and his band, number one of the tightest bands.
Oh boy!
I think he's got. I felt like he had 6 guitar players, but I think it's only 3. But what a hell of a show! Still had the stage show, the whole, and like you said, strutting his stuff at 70 at the time. I love to see it. I do think there's some of them. It's kind of like it's probably time to hang it up.
Yeah.
I hate when they advertise foreigner coming to the, and they're playing the old stuff. But you get there and it's like it's one original member, and sometimes it's just not. It's obviously not the same. We're just there to hear the hits, but yeah, I think sometimes it's time to kind of ride off into the sunset. But that's just me.
Yeah, and the singer's 27 years old.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that gets a little karaoke to me too. I'm with you on that one.
So you got to meet Billy Joel, Alice Cooper, but I really want to know who's your favorite celebrity that you've gotten to meet since you have become a celebrity yourself, and did it impact you the way that you thought it would?
It's kind of a unwritten rule that be careful about meeting your idols.
Exactly.
It may not turn out great, but for me, I'm such a huge sport fan. I've been honored to meet and perform for presidents and perform for President Bush and political world leaders, but I've also been able to meet my sports heroes. Wayne Gretzky introduced me at the 100th anniversary of the NHL, and so to be able to meet Wayne and some of the folks like that, that's always a treat for me, as a sports groupie. So when Oral Hershiser has become my buddy, Luke Robitaille from the Kings, so to have friends, Landon Donovan, the greatest American soccer player in the world, I sang at his wedding. So
you've got a cool you got a cool job, John.
I'm telling you, man, I pinch myself every day. So it's nice to be able to meet your kind of your idols, and luckily, for me, they've been just really great people. Landon's a great guy. Oral is a great guy, and kind of mentors, and so for me, as a sports guy, that's where I kind of look at my idols, to be able to just thank them for all the joy they've brought us and entertainment.
So, John, we talked about influences and where you draw inspiration from. What would people be surprised that you listen to in downtime? Do you have a guilty pleasure, or there's a genre that most people were like, no way?
I'm a classic rock guy. Maybe that's not a surprise, but I kind of grew up on classic rock and Zeppelin and the Who and all that stuff. But I also grew up loving musical theater. My first songbook was the Songbook to Godspell, and I actually ended up meeting and writing songs with Stephen Schwartz. Kind of the iconic musical writer of Pippin and Wicked and Godspell, and so I kind of always have loved musicals, and maybe one day I'll write ones. But I like telling stories. So yeah, you go back to The Wiz and some of those kind of classic musicals that I was going to as a kid at the Music Center here in LA. So I have kind of a wide range of kind of genres I like, but typically for me, it's it's the classic rock and the 70s singer songwriters, and we tend to carry the music that we grew up with through the rest of our lives, right? So if you were 17 in the 80s, you tend to like 80s music. If you're in the 90s, so kind of what we loved as teenagers, kind of where our musical tastes were really formed, we carry that with us through our lifetimes. And that's wonderful, because, we'll still hear the songs and we'll flash back to where we were when we heard certain songs. So again, for me, kind of, I grew up on that stuff. And of course, I'll say that's the best golden age, but, everybody's golden age is what they love. And that's the beautiful thing about music. We take it and apply it to our lives the way it resonates with us the best.
Around here, most people our age grew up on actual radio.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, we had 92.5 KOMA. And at the time, they were playing Del Shannon and the Deltones, the Everly Brothers, Righteous Brothers. And you kind of see how the classic rock has evolved to now you have to really look for Del Shannon and the Deltones. Classic rock is now Nirvana, which is it blows me away, but I didn't understand why that was until I got into radio, and it's kind of like, without being too dark about it, they're like, those audiences are dying out, or you know what I mean? We have to evolve with the trends. I'm like, yeah, but Foo Fighters on classic rock, it's hard to wrap my mind around it still.
I just think it's even funnier that there are 60-year-old people out there right now reminiscing about the days that they first listened to their 2 Live Crew CD.
Right.
You're certainly right. Look, time goes on, and and everybody has their kind of musical generation. At the same time, I would argue, like, I just saw F1 the other day. What did F1 open with? A Led Zeppelin song.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, and the Beatles, Breakfast with the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
There's some artists that still dominate. Elvis,
Yep.
Elvis's brand, just as a monetary brand, has
Huge.
never been bigger.
Never.
So you still have these kind of iconic brands and musicians that have captured and still kind of own the culture. And I as an older guy, I like that. I think I wish there were more artists in this day and age that you see a trajectory
Yeah.
of somebody who's like gonna kind of stand the test of time.
Yeah.
I think, I agree with you. The nice thing about radio back in the day was you would hear Queen next to Stevie
Absolutely.
Wonder, next to Barry Manilow,
Mhm.
next to Dolly Parton.
Right.
So you really had this kind of genre of music, and everybody wasn't in their silos.
Yeah.
But it's a new world, and of course, the beauty now is anybody can create a great piece of music on their laptop, and the world can see it on the internet, and you're not beholden to record companies. So it's always kind of silver linings there, and as a curmudgeon, you always want to say the good old days when I had a hit,
Right.
But yeah, again, I think it's never been easier to make music and get your music heard. So I think there's a lot of positives as well.
And that's going kind of back, talking about Elvis for a minute. I'm sure you saw Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts? Did you think it was a great? I thought it was. I enjoyed it. As an Elvis fan, I enjoyed it. I think what that movie did, though, you were talking about the brand of Elvis not being any bigger than it's ever been. I'm seeing a lot of younger people shopping for. I was in Walmart, as a matter of fact, and there were some kids that were probably 18 to 20 years old shopping through looking for Elvis vinyl.
It's beautiful.
I think it's great. Yeah. And in an age where, like you said, if you have an internet connection, you can make an album. I think there's some quality out there. There's some also, I really think there's an oversaturation. The last Grammys, I couldn't tell you half of the people that were nominated.
Yeah, me too.
I do think that music has, in some ways, evolved, but there's been a devolution as well. Is there any? Speaking of newer music, is there any newer artists right now that you've kind of got your eyes on?
Well, there's this new folk duo out called Lace and Lee that actually has been opening for me on my last couple tours. Two NYU girls who love Steely Dan and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and it just so happens that one of them is my daughter.
Oh,
so
you're partial.
That's my favorite new act, and she's picking up where Daddy left off, and I'm sure I'll pass the baton. But it's kind of wonderful to see my daughter with the passion and doing it, and you can imagine sharing the stage with her every night for a daddy is kind of a dream come true. So I'm a little partial to Lace and Lee, and unfortunately they won't be playing with us when we come see you guys, but they'll be out with me for my string quartet tour later in the fall. So yeah, it's as a dad, I got to go with the little girl.
Yeah, no judgment here.
Well, I can see how your daughter got into music. It's pretty obvious. But how did you get into music? Like, how did it begin for you?
Well, Mom was a piano teacher, and she started me very young, and it was something that I think really helped me. And when I was 13 and I wanted to kind of go ride my skateboard and chase girls, she let me quit, and I just started writing songs because I loved it, and I had the aptitude of the piano, and it was just a passion I had, and I kind of knew very young what I wanted to do, and fortunately for me, the stars aligned. I was able to do it for a career, but certainly great support from my parents and from some folks kind of that believed in me very early on. But it's always been my passion. I knew as a young boy that I wanted to sing and write songs. So to still be doing it so many decades later, I feel very blessed.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to be taking the string, the unplugged version, out on the road, probably around October, is that right?
Yep, we'll be out in October, yeah, for sure.
How many dates will you be out on for that one?
We're out for about 3 weeks. We tend to go out in runs of 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes we'll go out for a month or two. The days of 250 shows a year, at least for me,
right,
are kind of in the rear view. But but I think it's great. I'll do 50, 60 shows a year, and then I do some other kind of keynotes and other stuff. But it's enough to kind of keep me energized, and I love going back and forth between the rock band and the string quartet and the solo shows, because it keeps everything fresh, and the musicianship that the folks who play with me are truly world-class musicians and people. So every tour is kind of like a reunion, and as you said, ever since COVID, I think we all have a new appreciation for live music and gathering together, and I think both as musicians and fans, we have as I said, there's really nothing like it anymore. Everything else you can kind of record or play later, but sports and live music are the last things that I think you really have this sense of community in the moment. And so again, we're gonna put the boys back in the bus, and as I said, can't wait to come celebrate your championship, and maybe we'll dedicate a couple songs to Shay and the boys. And
I really thought you were going to say maybe dedicate a couple songs to Brett and Harley. I'll slip you,
boys. Yeah.
I'll slip you a C note. You take Cash App, John.
Everybody has a price.
Everybody has a price. My ex-father-in-law said that, and I was scared of him. Well, John, we appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little bit. Really looking forward to the show coming up Saturday, August 16th at Scissortail Park. John Ondrasik, man, what a pleasure. What a joy it was to hang out with you, man.
Thanks for having me. Can't wait. Hope you guys come to the show. Would love to meet you in person.
Absolutely. But I need to we have to figure out how to get on the list. There's always, even if it's in a park. Well, I'm just saying, I know it's an open park. We could climb the barricade, but yeah,
you know a guy.
I know
a guy. Consider yourself, your family members, your friends, your uncles, your grandparents, whatever. Everybody's on the list. You're on the fighting train.
We're with the band. That's the code. The code word. Well, John, thanks again, man. I've been nervous about doing that interview because I was worried that I jokingly said it during the interview. I didn't want to be Chris Farley, like when he talks to Paul McCartney. Remember that one time when you were in the Beatles? I was worried that I was going to do that. How do you think I did? You think I did okay?
I think you did fine. I think John is a super nice guy, and it would have been hard to mess it up.
Yeah. I like an interview where you can kind of go, here you go. And they just kind of.
Yeah, he's obviously an old
hat at doing interviews.
Yeah, so I mean,
well, I didn't want it to be like, and we got 5 for 5. You know what I mean? Like the morning zoo stuff, and you're like making like honking sounds in the background. John, what's your favorite hot dog? I mean, I really thought about. So, John, perfect hot dog, go. But I didn't do it.
No, but it probably would have been a good idea to ask him if he had mustard on his breakfast burritos.
Well, yeah, but hey, if you're really though, seriously. If you've never been to Scissortail Park, the positioning of the trees have you been?
Yeah.
There's always a shady spot.
It's a very well designed park.
Yes.
This is going to be a great show. It's right in the middle of everything. There's 1,000 cool places to eat in the area.
Oh yeah.
So definitely worth a trip out there. And this is just icing on the cake for me. We'll include a link to the upcoming shows at the park and to Five for Fighting's website.
And after the break, can we expect Tiger King versus Gladiators at the new OKC Coliseum?
It's time for the Oklahoma Deer Conference and Expo, August 16th in Oklahoma City. I'm Todd Craighead, and no matter how long you've deer hunted or your skill level, DeerCon has something for everyone. Learn the tips and skills from subject matter experts to make this deer season your best ever. More than 20 classes to choose from. Register at oklahomahuntersandanglers.org. Brought to you by the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation and the Oklahoma Hunters and Anglers Association.
So our news story today from Heather Warlick at the Journal-Record. Oklahoma City officials cut the ribbon on the new maps for OG&E Coliseum at OKC Fair Park, launching a new era of iconic Oklahoma events.
I will miss the Norrick Arena. Went to a few concerts in the early days of the arena. I know my mom back in the 70s was an usher at the State Fair Arena. In fact, Elvis performed there once. I mean, if you went down to the list of the people that performed at the Norrick Arena, those walls could have told many a story. But as times change, we're learning that with the new arena coming in downtown. I'm looking forward to what we're bringing with Maps 4 and the OG&E Coliseum. Maybe an opportunity to take the kids to see the Ice Capades in the new arena during the fair.
I was unaware of this.
What?
But that is one of the largest, if not the largest, economic driver in Oklahoma City for all venues.
Yes.
They do so much stuff out of there.
Well, and so much of it is through the Quarter Horse Association. They do a lot with, obviously you can't go to that end of the State Fair Park and not smell the money, literally and figuratively. I think it's a much needed upgrade, considering it's not just a concert venue. People come from all over the world to State Fair Park.
They do. And this arena, 216,000 square foot. It's located at the former Jim Norick Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jim Norick Arena, by the way, scheduled to be demolished in a little less than 30 days.
Yeah.
But this $126 million project.
It's interesting. You rarely get to see the old and the new right next to each other. I don't know of a more perfect way to transition than to literally build it right. It's like smack dab right next to the Norick Arena. It's pretty sharp. I remember last year when I went to the fair, seeing the progress. It looks super cool.
Well, the CEO of OG&E said this is exactly the kind of investment we want to make. We want to make investments that not only improve the community we serve, but also enrich the lives of the people in it. Again, this is one of those situations where this place sees all sorts of traffic. So I think it was a good investment. The prices on stuff is so super high. It's hard for me to wrap my head around $126 million, though.
Well, and when you look at it, you go, that's $126 million. And then you see the inside and you go, it's like the $900 million upgrade, which I hope we get to talk about that soon. They've unveiled that I keep talking about the new arena because it's literally, they unveiled it. By this time, it will have been a week ago, but they unveiled what that thing looks going to look like. It looks like a monolith.
Dude, there's so much stuff happening in Oklahoma. It's really mind-boggling.
When you talk about, when we were talking to John about the times sure are changing, look at OKC 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah, 9 day.
We weren't on any radar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we can't get off of it.
I think 30 years ago, maybe 35, maybe.
Yeah.
Between 30 and 35 years ago, the only thing happening in downtown Oklahoma City on the south side was Spaghetti Warehouse.
Yes. Spaghetti Warehouse, the Bricktown Haunted Warehouse.
Yeah. There was nothing happening down there.
Club Kinetics. There was no canal. And kind of watching it slowly grow down there to where, brother, when I went down there to watch that last game from the Brick, you don't realize how many people are down there until you're in the middle of it. And you're like, I never imagined. This is something I'll always remember, being in a sea of people until somebody shot a gun, and then it kind of womp.
That puts a damper on things.
We were doing good. Then we had a whammy towards the end, but just seeing that feeling the pulse of the city. I know that sounds real.
No,
there's been a lot of changes at the state fairgrounds. They took out the Space Needle. They don't have the fountain. A lot of things that I miss about it. I'm looking forward to some upgrades.
Well, if you want more information on that news story, we'll include a link in the show notes. But right now, we've got a little bit of feedback.
A little bit.
That I'm kind of stoked about from Riziki Farms on Facebook. Said, we're huge fans of the Only an OK show and love all they've poured into our local food scene over the years. Last year, we had the honor of judging a barbecue contest alongside Brett. And let me tell you, he had his belly laughing through every sample. Beyond the laughs, They've done so much to shine a spotlight on Oklahoma restaurants, farmers, and makers. In fact, they inspired me to grab an Afro Pop this afternoon. I can't wait. Cheers to great food, great company, and the people who keep Oklahoma's flavor thriving.
You know, we met, I got cordially invited to be a judge at a barbecue, my first ever barbecue tasting, and probably is what inspired me for it, or inspired what we're doing right now, what we've been doing. And I had the pleasure of sharing a table with them and another friend of mine that's also does content, Ashley /Smash. Yeah, you need to find her on TikTok. She's a lot of fun. But anyway, just great folks, honestly. He's funny. His wife's really funny. He's lucky to have her.
That's awesome.
But yeah, you know what? It feels good because here's the thing. I think a lot of the time you hear the term thankless job.
This is one of those sure.
This is a thankless job. We spend most of our time if we tried to put out fires, we have to ignore a lot of fires. We have to choose our battles.
We do. And honestly, it's like having another full-time job.
It really and truly is.
We're on the phone 3 or 4 times a day.
Oh yeah. If we're not talking each other off the ledge,
we're talking about what we need to be doing next or
how can we tweak this and how can we,
yeah.
And I think there's a lot of misconception as to why we do what we do or that it doesn't have an impact. And there are days, I'm not going to lie. It always seems like the days where I'm just kind of like, what am I doing? Is when somebody comes up and goes, by the way,
you're making a huge impact.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're not talking about the video where I slapped myself in the face with a burrito, are we?
Right.
But you know what? I work with people. It's weird working like a day job with people that know that you do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the newer guys is like, so what's it like doing food reviews? I said, man, it's expensive, number one. Number two, it's a thankless job because at the end of the day, I don't necessarily want to smack on the camera. That's not it. I'm trying to highlight, hey, this is, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for us, the best way to do that, to provide an honest opinion is to show, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like for me, this is the best way for you and I, this is our medium.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a literary, I can't type up a blog or a vlog, you know what? I can't do that stuff.
Yeah.
But he was like, man, keep doing what you're doing. I really enjoy it because of you, I tried a restaurant I've never tried before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a restaurant. We talk about this all the time. And I think eventually we're just going to keep every other month talking about the same thing. I don't know a restaurant that's not making $1 million a month that's going to say, guys,
don't talk about me.
Don't talk about me.
Yeah.
Guys, I'd really appreciate it if you didn't enjoy my food.
Yeah.
We haven't got a single cease and desist.
Although Brahms is probably getting real close.
Yeah. You know what, though? I don't think they are. If they cared about what we thought,
they might change something for the better.
I mean, I haven't seen another burger where they put tortilla chips on it. They did that.
Yeah.
But no, at the end of the day, I feel like we're doing our part. The feedback, not only from businesses like Roziki Farms, that isn't even in we're not doing cucumber reviews.
No, we're not.
But it illustrates that it's not just about the mom and pop burger shops. Everyone, at least the word's getting around.
When we started this, it's about the people, places, and the stories.
And it's taken us a while to get to some of the, you know what I mean?
It has, and we've been back and forth, and we'll always be that way.
Yeah.
We're going to lean into what we're having fun with.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're doing this literally out of our own pockets and out of the kindness of our own hearts. So us getting some enjoyment of what we're covering along the way is a small price for the overall product that we produce and the effects that we have across the state.
And the only competition we're in is
with ourselves
to make it better.
Yeah.
Because let's believe we are habitual overthinkers.
We are. If you want to help us out, help us buy a breakfast burrito with some mustard on it, you can do so.
Yeah.
head over to Redbubble. We've got a page over there, Only an OK Show. Buy a piece of swag. It'll probably go towards a drive-through bill of some sort.
Type. Please do.
To help us out. But this has been the Only an OK Show. New shows every week. I'm Harley.
I'm Brett.
And we're out of here.
Peace. Coming up August 16th, the Scissortail Park concert series has another great free show coming up featuring Five for Fighting and Vertical. Vertical. How did I get hung up on vertical?
I don't know.
All right. In Vertical Horizon, joining us today is Grammy-nominated songer. I'm done, John. Welcome to, we're just going to, this is, we're leaving this in. Welcome to the show, John. Well, coming up August 16th, the Scissortail Park concert series has another great free show featuring Five for Fighting and Vertical Horizon. In Vertical Horizon. Okay, you do it like that, like you're emphasizing.
We could leave it just like it is, and I'll go in and go Scissortail Park.
Scissortail Park.
Like
just piece it together.
Piece it together.
Like all this stuff that I flubbed on, you can just go and
Vertical Horizon.
John Ondrasik. Well, coming up August 16th, the Scissortail. God dang it, every time. Every time. Scissortail. Coming up. Okay, John. Just mute. Just hit mute. 3, 2, 1.